Hello everyone! Welcome to another video of the Felfire Gaze channel. Dragonflight Season 3 is here and Havoc is pumping hard in both Mythic Plus and Raids. In today's video we're gonna go through the gearing process, all the items and the stats that you're gonna need to play the spec efficiently and of course pump those meters. The first thing we're gonna talk about is stat priority. For both single target, cleave and AoE, Mythic Plus and Raid, we want crit and mastery. That's for sure. And then depending on what you do, if you are more single target focused in raids for example, you prefer haste as a third stat and verse as a fourth, and in AoE, specifically in Mythic Plus, it's vice versa, so you prefer verse over haste. So verse is number 3 and haste is the worst one. So this will guide our gear selection for our base items and for our off pieces. So we start with some very high ticket items that are necessary regardless of what you're doing in PvE. The first one of course is the weapons. From Dawn of the Infinite we have the double time Warglaive. This is our best weapon. We want it ideally in 489 from the vault if possible. Other than that we want to farm the lower part of Dawn of the Infinite to get to double times. This is the best weapon and we will try to get it. It will be a grind. Other than that, there is another weapon which can be really good in a single target, which comes from the third boss or fourth, depending on the order, the Council of Dreams. It's called the Thorcollar Claw. This is good on single target only. If you can get it on Mythic, of course, it's even better, but whatever, Heroic can be upgraded up to 6 item level lower than Mythic, to 483. This is also very good for single target. So for single target, you would like to have one Thorncollar Claw, which is unique equipped, and one double time. Other than that, we go with the trinkets. We want to have one on use trinket, one passive trinket. Metamorphosis is now 2-minute cooldown, so we want a 2-minute cooldown to pair it with Metamorphosis. There are two options. There is one clear winner, although it comes from dungeons, it comes from Everbloom, and it's called the Witherbark's branch. So you pop it every 2 minutes, you gain a lot of mastery. It's a little bit annoying because you have 3 orbs around you that come towards you and you need to collect them to get the mastery. So it's a little bit annoying if you combine it with momentum and stuff. So there is a lot of positional requirements. This is hands down the best trinket in both single target and AoE. So if you are too annoyed by these small orbs, you can have an alternative from Amir Drasil. And specifically from Smolderon, there is the Ashes of Ember Soul. This is also a 2-minute trinket with a lot of agility. This is very powerful, but not as good as the other one. This is a good alternative, let's say, for an active 2-minute cooldown. Now, for the passive trinkets, we have one for AoE and one for single target. For single target, hands down, Cataclysmic Signet Brand from Smolderon as well is the best single target trinket. No matter what, just pick it up. The highest item level you can get, it's the best you can get. And for AoE, again, there are two options. The one of them is from Council of Dream, Pip's Emerald Friendship Badge. This gives you a lot of secondary stats. It's really good. It has a random cycling proc. You don't care too much about that. You don't play around it. You just have it. And this is really powerful. Maybe you will be able to get it from Mythic. I'm not sure if Council of Dreams will be easy on Mythic, so we will be able to pug it and get it on a 489 version, but this is definitely one of your best choices. And the other one is the Crab Trinket. I suppose it's from Throne of the Tides, right? Yeah. This Porcelain Crab, which has a Mastery proc. This is also a very powerful passive trinket. Mastery is very good for us with any means necessary this season. So if you can get it on 489, maybe it's better than Pips on 483. This is very close. You need to sim your character for this detail, but the difference is very small. Get one of those at 483 or 489, the best you can get, and one on use trinket, and you're good. If you enjoy the content, consider dropping a like to the video and perhaps subscribing to the channel for more Havoc content. There is a lot coming. Moving on, we have the tier set part. So we have 5 pieces of tier set. Of course, we want to get the 4 set, and we need to choose which one is the worst for us. As I said, we want crit mastery and our worst stats are haste and versatility. Here we have the legs crit mastery, we want this piece, we want the gloves because they have critical, crit haste. Chest is crit haste as well, we want this as well, and then we have two items with haste versa. The head is high haste, low versa, and the gloves, the shoulders, sorry, are high versa, low haste. So for PvE, for raiding, where you value haste a little bit more, maybe the head is better because it's high haste, low versa, and you want to replace the shoulders. There is a good pair of crit mastery shoulders from the Council of Dreams, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, these ones. So you can use these to replace the tier shoulders and get your correct stats. Now for Mythic Plus, I would say that the head is the worst item because it has tons of haste, and it's good to note that our gear has a lot of haste already because 4 out of 5 tier pieces have haste on them. So we will be getting some haste passively, and the high ticket items, the double time warglaives, they also have haste, and the Thorncaller feast with the proc for single target also has haste. So we are bound to take some haste. So in Mythic Plus specifically, we don't want any more haste. In Raid it's a little bit better because it scales with a lot of things in single target. But in Mythic Plus I would say you have to avoid the head, while in Raid you can also get away with just avoiding the shoulders. And here comes the problem, because for Mythic Plus there is no real good head to grab. There is this crit haste head, again with haste, and then there's not too much. There is here haste crit again. In Everbloom we have haste versatility, Throne of the Tides it's crit haste again. And in the Raid there is I think one more with crit haste, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, it's haste master, it's even worse. So everything has haste on those items. There are some crit haste options, so you could opt to go for that. But as I will explain in a little bit, there is also the possibility for you to go for a crafted head, a crit mastery head, which will lose you some item level, but it will give you the best secondary stats, and maybe this will offset the item level loss. This consideration naturally brings us to the next point, which is embellishments. And for embellishments, there are two options really. For Raid, you pick the Toxic Thorn Foot Wraps and you pick a Toxified Decay Armor Patch, which doubles the effect of the boots. And for Mythic Plus, you pick 2 Blue Silken Lining, which increases your mastery when you're above 90%, which is primarily on the pool. Whenever you do a pool, you have tons of mastery, you open your burst with initiative, and you just ramp the meters. And the next consideration is that the crafted items can only go up to item level 486 and not 489, which is the maximum item level of the patch. So many people say that you should be crafting on lower primary stat slots in order to not lose too much primary stat, like crafting on bracers or on rings and stuff. So this holds true, of course, and we will be navigating this in both cases of Raid and Mythic Plus. So for the Raid, you don't have an option for the boots. The boots are in the fit slot, you craft them, it is what it is. Their damage is directly related to their item level, so you need to craft them directly at 486 in order to get the max out of them. Then you have the Toxified Armor Patch, which doubles the effect of the boots. It can be placed in any leather spot, and it is not affected by the item level. So if you don't want to, you can craft it on a lower item level, on a 476 for example, and save your aspect crests to upgrade other items. So you can craft it on a bracer or perhaps on shoulders, because we said that like in the Raid you have the haste versa shoulders and you want to replace them. Maybe you can craft crit mastery shoulders and add the Toxified Armor Patch here. So these are your options for the Raid. Now for the Mythic Plus, you have the option to directly put Blue Silken Lining on ring and neck. So you have 2 slots which do not have any primary stat at all, so your item level loss will be less of important than if you crafted, let's say, on a different item. Now for the Mythic Plus, you might also want to have an alchemical flavor pocket, which makes the food buff persist through death, which is important, and I will be crafting that on a neck. So my approach up to here is I crafted the first blue silken lining on a ring to get also the free socket, and I crafted the second one on a helmet, because as I said earlier, there is no crit mastery helmet, the tier set has haste versa, it sucks, so I will use this as an opportunity to replace the worst stats with the best stats for Mythic Plus, and I think that the 3 item level difference will be worth it. Other than that, I will be upgrading my neck to 476 when I get the third spark to have the alchemical flavor pocket activated as well. So I will end up with 3 crafted items, 1 necklace, 1 ring, and 1 head. And from there onwards, I don't think I will be crafting many more items for Mythic Plus, because there will be an item level loss. Maybe I will craft them to get the item level for now, but eventually they will be replaced. Moving on to enchants, you will want to use avoidance on the cloak and the bracers. Then you want to use waking stats on the chest, Sophic Devotion on both weapons for Mythic Plus, and Wafting Devotion for Raiding. Then you have the belt clasp on the belt, of course, the armor kit with agility, that's typical, Watcher's Loam for the boots, and then critical enchants on the fingers. You're gonna use the agility and critical strike socket, the primary socket, and then you have off sockets with crit mastery, and maybe you want to sim your character, and in some cases maybe crit haste or crit versa might pull ahead if you have too much of one secondary stat. I tend to gem primarily crit mastery for Mythic Plus. Last but not least, we have the gear upgrades for this season, and I made this small chart here. You've seen something similar before probably, to demonstrate my points here. So your items on hero track start at 467, you need to upgrade them 3 times to go to 476 with 45 Wyrm's Crests in total, and then you can upgrade them 2 times and another 2 times in the myth track to reach the maximum item level. So here, when you use an enchanted aspect crest and you spend 60 aspect crests to craft a 486 item, essentially what you do, you skip the part of the Wyrm Crests, and that's your gain, you see, because otherwise you would have to spend these 4 crests here to get up to 489 practically. For if you had an item and you would upgrade it to 483, maybe you loot a myth track 483 on the same slot and you upgrade it 2 more times and you spend 60 crests in total to get to 489. But here you spend 60 crests and you get to 486, but at least you get to skip the lower upgrades. So that's your gain here. It's not an insignificant gain, but maybe it's not always the most efficient thing to do, because on a different note, if you would craft an enchanted Wyrm's Crest, it will cost you 45 Wyrm's Crests, and it will be the equivalent of upgrading an item in a normal manner. So you have no gain here at all, unless you were given an enchanted Wyrm's Crest for free, which is the case. You are given 2 enchanted Wyrm Crests for free, 1 for getting Renown 20 with the Dream Wardens, and 1 for killing Firak on either difficulty. So I would highly suggest that you make use of these Wyrm Crests and craft items at 486, the lower item level items. So as I showed you in case of Mythic Plus, I crafted a ring at 476 for free, and this saves me Wyrm's Crests. And then my third item, I will be crafting a neck with the alchemical flavor pocket, again at 476 for free. This is the keyword here. And I crafted 1 item at 486, which is the head. I chose to go with the higher item level piece to get the maximum stats. So this will be my 3 first crafts, and if I would be raiding, I would do something similar. I would spend 60 crests to craft the boots at the maximum item level, because I want to get the maximum value of the embellishment, and then I would use my free Wyrm's Crest to craft either leather bracers or leather shoulders for being the off piece and bracers for being the lowest agility piece, to have the toxified armor patch to double the effect of the boots. and then perhaps I would use the second free Worm's Crest on week 3 to craft whatever, I'm not sure, maybe the other part, like craft bracers and shoulders, or maybe use this after that to craft a ring with a free socket, something like that. Like, make use of this enchanted Worm's Crest, because you have very limited crests this season and it will take some time to gear up, so make use of these free crests. Other than that, there is a small recommendation, let's say, about how to spend your crests. Make sure that you are up using crests on highest item level pieces. So the maximum thing you can loot from M+ is 470. So try to not spend any crest on 467, for example. Wait until you loot 470 item. For example, you have, let's say, I have now bracers at 467 with crit mastery. These are my beast stat, but I don't upgrade them yet. I will wait until I loot a pair of bracers at 470, so I get this upgrade for free. Doesn't matter what stats these bracers have, maybe they are haste versa, doesn't matter. I will get this upgrade for free and then I will start pumping upwards. And similarly, if you loot from the vault a 480 or 483 myth track item, you can then freely spend your crests here, because you know these crests will never go to waste. This is the maximum item level of the slot, you are done, this is a very good investment. And yeah, if you follow these rules, you're pretty much set. Maybe a small thing you could do is don't spread your crests around over multiple items. Invest them into certain slots. So for example, if you invest everything in one weapon and then you loot a second weapon, then you've covered both slots, and rather than spending half your crests on one weapon and half the other crests on the other weapon, and then when you loot a weapon, half your crests are lost. Or maybe you want to invest everything into a head slot item, and when you loot the vault and you have a head and a chest, you have to pick the chest because you've spent your crests on the head already. So it's good to focus on specific slots rather than spreading your crests all over your gear. And that's all you need to know to gear your Havoc Demon Hunter for both Raid and Mythic Plus. There are more videos down the line about optimizing Havoc movement and rotation to achieve peak performance. Thanks a lot for watching to the end. If you enjoy the content, like the video and subscribe to the channel to help me grow this community. Thanks again, and see you in the next one.